Hey everybody, it's Emily from Arc Schooling, and today I'm going to give you my May TBR. I am, again, slightly ambitious this month. We will see what happens, but I do have a lot of books that I need to get through, so let's just go through it and see what we got. I'm currently reading it's kind of bright, The Inquisitor's Tale, are The Three Magical Children and Their Holy Dog, and this is by Adam Gidwitz. I just started this yesterday, and I really like it so far. It's sort of very Canterbury Tales-ish, the way it's told through, it's a group of people sitting around and telling stories about these three children and trying to piece together the story about what's happening. And the three children are a girl who has this dog. She sees visions, and she sees the dog who had died come back to life. And there's a boy with superpower strength, and another boy who is Jewish, I believe, and he can heal wounds. And so these three children are on this adventure, and so far I really like how it's done. It is very Canterbury Tales in the fact that they're all telling these stories to each other, and it's set in a very medieval setting. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's illuminated, so the pages have illustrations. You can see they're black and white drawings, but still, it's really nice to see the little doodles and the edges, and I really am enjoying it. I also am going to be reading Agincourt by Bernard Cornwell, and this is a reread. I loved this book when I read it. It's super gritty, really realistic retelling of a famous event in history, the Battle of Agincourt during the 100 Years' War, and I love that it's told from the perspective of regular people just thrown in the midst of this. It's not about like the kings and the queens and the nobles. This is about a guy who is an archer and has been trained with the longbow. I really like the realistic portrayal of history, and it's not always pretty, but it's what it was. It's what it was like, and so you get a very, very realistic view of the time period, which can so often be romanticized into this beautiful time, and when people were holy and nice and good, and it was not. It was really brutal. I love reading about medieval history, but I would not want to live then because it was pretty rough. But I really enjoyed this book. I'm looking forward to picking it back up again. I'm also planning on reading Kim Stanley Robinson's The Years of Rice and Salt. I have had this on my TBR for a really long time, and I keep meaning to pick it up, and I just haven't, but I'm gonna. It's happening because I'm putting it in grade 10. I kind of have to read it now so I can lesson plan it. But I'm really excited because this is one of those books that is just, it's intimidating on the surface. It is a relatively large book. This is kind of a what-if story. What if, when the plague swept through Europe, instead of killing only a third of the people, what if it killed 99% of them? What if it totally wipes out Europe? And who comes in and takes over? The Ottomans. So what does that look like? Like, what would that be like if you get, instead of Western society, what we have now, we end up very much Muslim Ottoman society in Europe, and will that carry over to America? Like, what would that look like? So I'm fascinated with the idea. So I think this sounds like an amazing story. It says on the back, through the eyes of soldiers and kings, explorers and philosophers, slaves and scholars, Robinson navigates a world where Buddhism and Islam are the most influential and practiced religions, while Christianity is merely a historical footnote. Probing the most profound questions as only he can, Robinson shines his extraordinary light on the place of religion, culture, power, and even love in this bold new world. Like, I really want to read this. I'm also planning on reading The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. I have two reasons. It's going to be in grade 10. I'm putting it in the science for grade 10, so I wanted to read it for that. But I'm also wanting to watch the series, or the show that just came on HBO, I heard it was going to be made into a movie, and I had it in my head that it was going to be like in theaters down the road, and I was like, hey, it's on HBO right now. I need to read the book. So I'm going to try to get to this month so that I can watch the show, because it looked really interesting and I wanted to see it. And this, again, is a very science-y book. It's about a woman's cells that were taken for science, and they were vital in developing different vaccines and all kinds of things in the scientific field, but they were taken without her knowing and her family's knowledge, and so it's all about her story and like who was this person who is so important to science, but nobody really knows her. So I think this sounds like a really interesting story, and I'm looking forward to seeing the movie on HBO. And the Read Like a Mom book club will be reading In Order to Live, A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom by Yeonmi Park this month. I'm super excited to pick this up. I'm morbidly fascinated with North Korea. I just can't wrap my brain around how this society is existing right now. Like, how does this happen? How do we let this happen? It blows my mind. I'm really excited to read this. I know it's probably going to be pretty upsetting, but I still, I need to read it. I need to know. So if you want to join us, I will leave the information down below so you can join in the Read Like a Mom book club. It's really laid back. We are on Goodreads and we talk about the book as we read it. So feel free to jump in. And then with my daughter this month, we are wrapping up the last of the Zoe and Sassafras books, Myrrh, Horses, and Bubbles. We are almost finished. I think we're probably going to finish it this week. And so we're really liking that. And then I think when we finish it, we're going to jump into Nim's Island by Wendy Orr. I think she'd really like it. It's about a little girl who lives on an island and has adventures. And who doesn't want to read about that? So I think she'd really enjoy this. And there's a movie, I think, so she might enjoy the movie. And then with my teens, we were just talking about, we haven't had read aloud time, like confession time. We have not been reading aloud with my teens much lately because of the boys' school schedule. It's just throwing everything out of whack. So I sat down, we're like, we need to do something about this. So we're going to start reading in the evenings, I think, because our mealtime schedules just aren't working anymore. So I asked them what we should read, and they all kind of jumped on This is Frisby and the Rats of Nim. This is my ancient copy, like literally, this is my copy from when I was a little kid. You can see my names in it. I don't know how this survived my childhood, because most of my childhood books ended up in my father's classroom. He was an elementary school teacher, so most of my books disappeared. But I somehow held on to this one. This was one of my favorites as a kid. It was one of my oldest, her favorites when she was younger, and we haven't read it for a really long time, so we're going to give that a go. It's a nice, getting back into the swing of things, read aloud. So that is all the books I'm planning to read in the month of May. We'll see what happens. I also have a talk I am preparing for, so that's taking up a lot of my time working on that, because I'm giving a talk at the C conference in less than a month. What? Where is my time going? I feel like I missed a month somewhere. What happened? I don't know. But I have a lot on my plate right now. I'm also writing a book, and I'm trying to get that finished in time to have at the C conference, and I'm like, I am insane. Literally, certifiably insane to think that I could do all of these things at once. What is wrong with me? But anyway, more on that later. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.